Next for your viewing pleasure is this little treasure. It is a 1972 Mercury 115. I think they call these Tower of Power inline 6. Anywho, it's 50 bucks. The guy claimed that it was working on a pontoon boat when he took it off. They were going to replace the wiring harness, which had started to dry rot, which you can see here happening. Alright? Then he said he took it off and his buddy found some other deal and put the other motor on it. This sat in his basement. He never dealt with it. Never did replace the wiring harness, just sat there and finally wanted to get rid of it and clean out his shop. And he did have a bunch of stuff in his shop in the way, so I guess he gave up and 50 bucks was it. So we shall see. I already spent 50 bucks on getting the top cover, which is stupid because I should have waited, tested the compression, which I haven't. But I need a stand. I don't have a stand. How do you even get this moved around? So temporarily, that's what I'm gonna do, is use a cherry picker, which I lifted it in and out of the car with, and then got it in the garage and then in the basement so I can work on it in air conditioned comfort. Then I'm gonna go get it on a chain hoist and get it lifted up, hopefully upright. Then I may make a stand for it to clamp to, just for safety purposes, so it's not hanging there. But I feel pretty safe if it's hanging on chains. It's not going anywhere. Anyway, one way or the other, get it up in the air, and I guess the first thing to do is test compression in the cylinders. As far as I'm concerned, if you got compression in the cylinders, there's not something mechanically broke in the lower end, then everything else should be fixable. We shall see. Alright, so we got it up on the hoist. Well, crap rigged with Chinese ropes. You know, nothing safer. Anyway, there's the fun. Somebody's been in here and everything's corroded. So yeah, they weren't lying. Needs a new wiring harness. That's what we're up against. Everything's falling apart. I don't know what went to what and what went to what. Tricky. This little fella underneath here is this wire. I don't know what it does. There's this one hanging here. So, like I said, before I do any of that, pull the spark plugs, figure out a way to turn it over, make sure there's compression on each cylinder. Oh, super sketchy. Nothing to worry about. Looky. The top cover arrived from eBay. That cost me 50 bucks, so you know, a few parts here and there are adding up, but well, if it works like I think it's gonna work, it's a perfectly good motor. If I gotta spend $100 on a prop and you know, end up being maybe $200 into initial cost plus the other parts, I think that's definitely a win. I think it'll be worth it. The bill of sale is supposed to be coming back from the previous owner, and I get to go through that joyous experience of trying to find, I think the state troopers in Missouri have an inspection station where they're gonna, I guess, look at it, make sure the serial number's not stolen or whatever, check the previous registration, all that stuff, whatever. But then if everything's kosher, they sign off on it and you take that down to the DMV and you get your title for it. So that's going to be the next step, probably as soon as I get that bill of sale, before I do any more work, because you don't want to, you know, how bad would that suck to do all this work and then find out, yeah, you bought it from a guy on Facebook, but it was stolen or something, and you have to give it back, and you've done a whole bunch of work to it. So that wouldn't be any good. Anyway, looks a lot better to have at least the thing looking like an outboard now that I got the pieces. Okay, progress is being made. Well, kinda. Had to spend some money though. Top cowl arrived. The I don't know what you call it, flexible shroud thingy. I'm not gonna buy a new fiberglass thing. Fiberglass is okay, just the plastic lining is degraded. It's not totally brittle, but a few places split open, so I decided to just super glue it shut. So yeah, there you go. This thing required some bending to get it to fit nice and tight, but it's good to go. The wiring harness is junk, so I had to cough up 125 doll hairs for an internal engine wiring harness for this sucker. But again, since I had compression on all cylinders, everything else looks all right, I think it's going to be a good motor and really cheap. Just put in some labor. So anyway, there's the internal wire harness replacement, and luckily for the dummies like me, it tells you exactly where stuff goes, because I was worried about that. I mean, I tried to take pictures, but I had no guarantee that the last guy that was in there wasn't monkeying around, because there were some things spliced and twist capped together. Maybe they rotted so bad and broke that he didn't know where to put them. So anyway, this tells you exactly what goes to where, so that's handy. So I think I said that top cowl was an eBay item. The other thing is this fella was broke off when I got here. Now, I don't know why that one's black, and the one I found on eBay is silver, but it is the identical piece. It may not look like it, but trust me, it is. And I held it up there and looked. So I think I'm just gonna give this a wire brush and take these little rubber ding-dings off and go ahead and paint it black, and then put it on there. So that's that. I got to call in to the state popo who inspects this. I got the bill of sale back from the seller, so hopefully get the thing titled and registered, and then I can actually you know, get this thing put together and well, try to find a boat to stick it on to test it. Oh yeah, other things I forgot. The controls were also hosed. I think it was 20 bucks on eBay for a used one. The throttle snapped off, so the rest of the mechanism was all right in here. It does operate the control cables. The rubber boot on the choke seemed all right. Finally, it's hard to see because I got a bunch of stuff laying there and I'm one-handed, but there's the key switch. Anywho, I took this thing apart, and the wires inside there are rotted off also, but I think the key switch itself is fine. And I got the code off of the internal switch, and somebody on eBay sells the Mercury keys once you have the code off of the actual, you know, lock mechanism internally. So anywho, there's a key coming. So, you know, like I said, the thought process is you got compression, you get the motor legal, so it's worth spending any time and money on it, which I guess I didn't do very first, but I'm assuming that's going to go off fine. Well, fine. Okay, then tested the compression, so I assume the thing's going to come back. The rest is just getting the electrical part to work. I think that's not going to be that bad. But you got to have a way to test it. So when you get the thing in a, you know, in a bucket, well, you're going to need the controls to operate the thing. The only thing I did was jam the, well, you saw the video, just jam 12 volts to the starter and let it spin over to test the compression, but I didn't test any of the electrical system or spark. One spark plug was broken, so I did order one replacement spark plug. Yes, I am that cheap. The rest of them looked fine. I wasn't going to buy a whole set. And I did get a water impeller, assuming that if everything else is kosher and I want to test it for a while and run it, you got to make sure it's staying cool. That's it for now. Eventually, if everything runs correctly, I guess I'm gonna have to look at getting a tachometer. I saw someplace, it looks like it's somewhat universal, an all digital one for 20 bucks on eBay, made out of pure Chinesium. But thinking that might be the way to go with this old motor. If you can tell it what type of pulse it's going to get to register electronically, then that one would work. And I'm not going to have any other dash cluster gauges for this motor. At least I don't think so. So anyway, that's kind of what I'm thinking right now. The rest of this wiring harness control cables are ugly, but I think they're okay. I got to get some barbs for the fuel lines. I'm not going to use Mercury replacement parts. I'm going to get barbs to screw into the 3/8 fittings, and then go ahead and just use regular automotive fuel hose. Let's see what else. The rest is bits and pieces. These caps were bungified. I gave a little bit of a tug to the wires, and one of them anyway, it didn't seem to come off. I didn't pull that hard, but I don't know how that functions. So what I decided to do instead was just seal it up. Well, until I can test it and see if it works. Because I don't feel like buying any parts I don't have to buy. And eventually here I'm going to have to tear into the carburetors, I suppose, and get them all cleaned up. I got to figure out what all these electrical connections are. All these wires have to be replaced. And, well, that wire harness said this goes to, the positive terminal of the ignition coil. That's fine, but I don't know what all those points are. I don't know what this is actually called. I labeled them and labeled the wiring harness that I took off, so I think that's a good hint, but I didn't really want to have to go look up wiring diagrams from scratch and figure this all out. I was hoping to just monkey see, monkey do, and splice new wires onto all the connection points from point A to point B and call it a day, except for this one piece that I had to buy, the main wire harness plug. So that's where it's at, and we're off and running. The next thing I'm going to do, though, is wait for the highway patrol to sign off to make it all worth my while. Then I will proceed. Okay, I have no patience. Started working on it anyway before I got the state popo inspection, because they haven't returned my call. Anyway, so I got the spark plug wires routed correctly. I don't know why they had them all freaking ripped out of their supports or whatever. But anywho, point is, there's the silver piece. It is an exact fit. This thing's missing half the bolts. I don't know why. I think this one snapped off, but I guess I am going to take it apart and go ahead and wipe down with acetone and clean it up a little bit and paint it black, because the old one was black. I don't know why this one's not, but it's not. Yeah, calamity. Snap that on off. I'm going to try to use the trick where you weld onto that, and then the heat involved in all that process makes it come off of there. I don't know if I'm going to have room to do this with the camera sitting here. I'm going to make an attempt. Cover your eyes. It's about to get real. Whoop, whoop. Oh, meh. Meh. You know what's a super good tip for welding? You gotta go ahead and flip the old switch on. God. Whoop, whoop. Oh, this is gonna go well. Whoop. Whoop. Going somewhere. Oh. Oh. What are the chances? Huh? 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 Oh. Oh. Come on, you can do it. Well. Oh, 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 that didn't seem like, it either did start turning or just twisted right off. It's freaking hot. I don't feel like, yeah, twisted right off. Okay. So I was all like, yeah. All right, gotta get another nut. Hold on. You know it's gonna be awesome. This is gonna be the one nut I needed for something else. All right. Try number 2. Cover your eyes. I actually put the heat on the next setting here. Oh God. She went bingus on me. Well, that's hotter than shit. Well, what are the chances? God, why can't I get the freaking thing set right once? Come on, you can do it. Huh? Oh, nope. 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 Well, now what do you do? Yeah. Perfect. Just about don't have any more nuts that size. I'm gonna try building up a little like this. That's healthy. Get on there. Sure, that's gonna be perfect. Definitely welded onto the bolt. Wait for it to cool a little. Sure, it's fine. Nah. Oh. Nope, denied. Well, I think that. Oh, you dirty bastard. Oh, please get down there and melt something. God. Ain't that about right? There is a rubber fuel line down there. There's no fuel in it, but you're about right. There it is. Good old magnet. There's your buddy. Well, I don't know if that thing needs to come out of there at this point. It's annoying me. Well, I'm sure it'll happen off camera because that's the way it works. You win this round, rotten boat motor. Couldn't get it out. Welding trick did not work. And I decided it's not worth going after it. It's got 3 other bolts on the bottom, and this metal piece that comes up is so thin that that's not going to make the difference between the support it needs or not. All it does is hold the wiggly bit up to here to lock everything together. So it's getting the 1 bolt.